Welcome to Media Makers Spotlight from Women in Film and Video in Washington, D.C. We bring you conversations with industry professionals for behind the screens, insight, and inspiration.
Thanks for joining us. I'm your host, Candice Bloch, and in this episode, we're going to learn about the film September 5. The film unveils the decisive moment that forever changed media coverage and continues to impact live news today. Set during the 1972 Munich Summer Olympics, the film follows the ABC Sports broadcasting team, who quickly shifted from sports reporting to live coverage of the Israeli athletes taken hostage. Through this lens, September 5 provides an important perspective on the live broadcasts seen globally by millions of people at the time. At the heart of the story is Geoff, played by John Magaro, a young and ambitious producer striving to prove himself to his boss, the legendary TV executive Roone Arledge, played by Peter Sarsgaard. Together with German interpreter Marianne, played by Leonie Benesch, and his mentor Marvin Bader, played by Ben Chaplin, the story focuses on the intricate details of the high-tech broadcast capabilities of the time, juxtaposed against the many lives at stake and the moral decisions that needed to be made against an impossible ticking clock. I was able to speak briefly with director Tim Fehlbaum and actors Leonie Benesch and Ben Chaplin during a recent press junket for the film. Please enjoy our short conversation about September 5. So as I was saying before, I'm with Women in Film and Video, and our podcast, Media Maker Spotlight, is about screen-based media production. So because we focus on that, I wanted to dive right in and ask about the early 70s live broadcast studio setup in this film. And I was curious if any of you found any of the technological elements or limitations of how they got stuff done particularly interesting, or something you hadn't even thought of.
I loved the editing tables. I thought they were so cool. If I had a more space in my flat, I would put one up.
They're beautiful.
Yeah.
And also I got a crash course, didn't I, in how to edit, which made me feel very grown up. Yeah.
You are.
Yeah, thanks. So I look grown up, I'm not. But that's Tim's answer all the way there for me.
Okay, I'm not sure if I got the question right.
Did you love any?
Was there anything about, how the equipment and the technology, for example, how they did the overlays and the limitations of film and satellites and things like that?
Everything about that really fascinated me. I think that also, or I hope that comes across in the movie, that we were very interested in that work. Two reasons. One, of course, is the aesthetics, that we want to feel real, right? Mm-hmm. And we wanted also to make sure that many people who actually experience these control rooms will see the movie, that it feels accurate. That's the one thing. But then from the point of view of the topic of the movie also, it seemed really relevant to us that this is in a time where we have such a complex and rapidly evolving media environment. It is interesting for the audience to maybe see how back then an image found its way from being taken to the TV.
For sure. Yeah, that's one of the things that personally I found most fascinating, coming from sort of that world. And we've spoken on our show to people that do live broadcasting now. So it's fascinating to see how things are so different. I thought it was really cool seeing, fighting for the satellite time and all that.
My mind was blown when I read that.
Just to give you the complete answer, well, you have to seem like I lost a little blackboard where she puts up the letters, the title generates, so to say, that they had back then.
Yeah, and that 100% stayed with me. I was like, wow, I still don't entirely get it, but it's really cool to see how they do that.
I also like the ingenuity, of phone to wireless to walkie to it's sort of
fiddle with the radio, take it apart.
Yeah, so MacGyver now, but just cutting edge.
The limitations force creativity, right?
Yes, exactly, and they had to improvise on that day very much on many levels. And the biggest improvisation, of course, in a way, is that it was a crew of sports people that suddenly had to make the switch to reporting on a crisis.
Mm-hmm. So the events of the film, and especially Ben's character, point out that tension between the network competition of wanting to report first and the credibility of having at least two confirmed sources. Ben, can you elaborate on what it meant to be one of those voices advocating for getting news correct and not worrying as much about the speed?
I mean, I a little bit. I just in terms of what Marvin and what happens in the film, I think it was they were improvising. It wasn't something that, as sports people, I don't think that they'd really considered, and that it had really happened before. Broadcasting live a major incident, a terrorist incident. So they were sort of, once they made the decision to broadcast live, I think that they were sort of trying to think on their feet about possible consequences. But it seems to me in the film that Marvin was the person who was trying to provide sort of checks and balances, I suppose. But actually, he's not sure either. He's questioning it while they're doing it. The others almost are too busy because they're actually producing it, directing it, as it were, and he's kind of. But then I guess because in his role as chief of operations, it was his job, I suppose, to see potential pitfalls and what could go wrong.
Right.
So I think it was more in his. I think they were so busy doing it that there was very little time to think about. What do you think?
Yeah, no, that's also what Jeffrey Mason told us. The character that John Magaro plays, they were so busy covering what was happening right next to them, so that they didn't almost have any time to think about consequences.
Yeah. So as you mentioned, Marvin Bader.
Go ahead. I think to that question, I just want to make sure that also that spreading of that rumor, that that was not clear with the control process. That was a really complex thing that originated not at ABC Sports. That was already on German television before.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, it's definitely a very dramatic moment as well. And so Marvin Bader is a real person. Many of the people in this film are real people. So as the film's director, can you maybe speak about the responsibility of portraying real historical events with respect and accuracy, but also maybe explain some elements that perhaps had to be fictionalized for like narrative flow of a film?
Yes, that's a good question. And the question, of course, that we were dealing a lot with in every stage of the production, in writing, in shooting, in editing, always the question. We had, of course, the ambition to stay as truthful as possible. We did a lot of research. And of course, as one really important source, also we had our tapes, see what they did send. We had resources or talked to Jeffrey Mason. We talked to a runner, Jimmy Scheffler. He was one of these people who smuggled
another technical limitation.
We talked to Sean McManus, the son of Jim McKay. Who was there as a teenager during the Olympics and also was there during that night. And then we had biographies that we could read about this. Roone has the biography where he has a chapter only at this, Jim McKay has. But then, on the other hand, what we did, it's still a movie, so we have to tell it in 90 minutes. So condensation obviously is something that we really have to do. And for example, with John Magaro's character, Jeffrey Mason, we had to combine certain functions that multiple people would have in real life. And the same we wanted to have for Leonie. We heard about translators that were there. And so we took some elements from reality, but then also created the character for the movie.
Yeah, and that seems, kind of what has to happen to make amalgamations of people to move things along. So since your character was one, I want to go to you. So Leonie, your character is critically important to the ABC team as the events unfold. Can you speak a bit about portraying the only German and German speaker and also one of the only women there as well, and then having to be so critically important and crucial and needed for everything throughout?
Yeah, sure. So the thing is, sure, she is important, but that is not something that I play. The task for me as an actor was the obstacle. Oh, she, I don't know, wants to translate, but she can't hear, so she'll, she'll scream. That's the bit that that's fun for me to play with as an actor. But I can't really play generational guilt. I know as a German what it means to have been raised in a country that has committed atrocities and has tried to face them. I know what that means, and there's a certain, I personally have I have something I can tap into for that, but that doesn't lend itself very well in terms of an acting exercise. That is kind of there because you and Moritz Binder, your co-writer, wrote that into the script. That's already there. And in terms of being the only woman on set, I love the writing because it's a little feminist rebellion. Because it's a really beautiful appreciation for the fact that usually there are lots of women involved and they don't get credit. And I love the scene with the coffee because it has an immediate there's a punchline to it. Yeah. And and Marianne gets to be the person who saves the day a lot of the time. So but she doesn't feel shoehorned in, I think. So that's really beautiful.
Yeah, I really loved her character. I mean, because it's, that's so common, just being assumed, especially in 72. We've made progress, still plenty to go, but we've made progress since then. So it was really satisfying to have that kind of seeing how everyone just had to respect you and needed you so much. So the events that the film portrays span nearly 22 hours straight. Did you film in sequence to help build any sense of exhaustion or not? And then also, how did using real footage of Jim McKay reporting kind of ground the film and help shape or guide the story?
Well, it's a good question. It's something that you always also wish as a director, but we haven't, it's very often, it's the price at which it would come to shoot in sequence is too high. It's logistically very complicated, with talent being available. And I mean, with this talent and the camera, they can very much, Of course, what we tried to do, we didn't start with the most emotional ending scene, right? That's, of course, things that we try to avoid. Or for example, with John Magaro, in the movie, there's this moment where he, for the first time, directs that live television, right, in the show, in the film. And we also then made sure that when we shot that scene, it was also the first time that he did that for our own movie. And he actually then used it because he was nervous because he, in a way, he wanted to portray these people that he observed accurately. And he was nervous about this, but this helped a lot because for him also, for his character, was awesome. And then to the second question, I think there should be another on this poster, and another actor's name, that's Jim McKay, because we did shoot some parts of the footage we reshot, but it was very clear for us very early on, Jim McKay, the human element that we can't copy, right? And to reenact that with an actor, so would have been, I think, it would have never gotten the feeling of that you get now.
Yeah. It was a great anchor for us because, John, I think of all of us acted with him the most, but having him there as a real person, it's just a great anchor because you can't overact if you've got the truthfulness of Jim McKay over there. If you then try to make something bigger, you will look like an idiot. So that was just a good reminder to what I think for the tone that everything was so,
This is like actualism.
Well, I know they need to get to the next person, so thank you so much. Wish I could have gotten to a couple more, but it is what it is. Oh, sorry. And compliments of Paramount Pictures. Here now is the film's trailer.
Ready, camera one. Hit it.
Good morning. I'm Jim McKay speaking to you live from the Olympics in Munich, West Germany.
Talk me through the day.
Starts with volleyball, then there's boxing.
Good. It's America versus Cuba.
Sure you want to bring in the politics?
It's not about politics. It's about emotions. And we're clear. Great job, everyone. Do you hear that?
Close gunshots.
What's the situation?
The police are reporting that armed terrorists have attacked the Israeli athletes.
There's a hostage situation going on right now in the Olympic Village.
ABC wants news to take over.
Your sports, you're in way over your head.
We're 100 yards away from where this is happening.
We are the only people capable of following it live. This is our story, and we're keeping it.
What do I tell the cameras?
What do you mean?
Can we show someone being shot on live television?
We're on.
The peace of what had been called the Serene Olympics was shattered this morning. The games are still going on. Within a few hundred yards, 9 terrified, living human beings are being held prisoner.
You need to understand how sensitive this situation is.
These are just local cops doing things they have never done before.
We're making broadcast history. More people have seen this than watch Armstrong land on the moon.
Now, police are on the roof.
Oh, guys.
That's a TV. Are they seeing what we're seeing?
What are you talking about?
Are the terrorists seeing this?
Our job is to tell the story of these individuals whose lives are at stake.
It's not okay if we made it worse.
It's a madhouse down here.
They know the whole world is watching. If they shoot someone on live television, whose story is that? Is it ours or is it theirs?
September 5 is currently in select theaters and opens nationwide on January 17th.
Thanks for listening to Media Maker Spotlight from Women in Film and Video. To learn more about WIF, visit F as in Frank, V as in Victor.org. This podcast is created by Sandra Abrams, Candice Bloch, Brandon Ferry, Tara Jabari, and Jerry Reinhardt, and edited by Michelle Kim and Inez Perez, with audio production and mix by Steve Lack Audio. Subscribe to continue learning from more amazing media makers. Please visit MediaMakersSpotlight.com for more information.